Hey, all right, welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. It's time for another episode of Riffin with Raff. This is the stream of content where I get to connect and interview and discuss exciting topics with people that are, fun and fascinating and interesting and compelling. And I'm very, very fortunate to be joined this evening by an illustrious guest, a peer of mine in the Moving Picture Institute Sundance Film Festival program, I guess is that what we're calling this? There's a
fellowship.
Fellowship. We are coming to you live from Park City, Utah, outskirts of the city, Whole Foods, and we're gonna nosh on some sushi for dinner. It's opening night of our week. Well, I mean, last night was technically opening night, but
this is the
first full day
of
activity. And I'm with Chris McElroy. Chris is awesome. We met this morning, and we've hit it off. I thought I'd just talk to him a little bit about some of his background, interests, passions, hopes, dreams, and then we'll just riff and go. See where things go from there. All right.
Well, thanks for having me, first off. This is...
I'm thrilled that you're here.
This is an honor.
It is an honor. Yeah. Thank you. The tens of listeners are going to get exposed to something really exciting. I almost want to start with it because this is going to keep their attention. You are a filmmaker of many years of experience, primarily docs, but also, I guess, narrative too. Talk to us a little about your film journey.
So creatively, primarily docs.
Okay. But you're trained in filmmaking.
I have worked on a lot of narrative, like studio Hollywood movies, on the more production side. Not creative, but the production aspect.
Things that you would recognize, folks.
So
legit films. We can name drop, can we?
Yeah, sure.
You're in the credits.
We'll start. The first movie I worked on, the first big movie, was the Hellboy reboot.
Hellboy.
2019.
It's amazing.
And I shot and edited the EPK.
Wow.
The electronic press kit.
Thank you for helping us with those acronyms.
The behind the scenes, really. And I also shot the virtual reality experience for that. That was a new thing, and the last time I ever did anything like that, because it was kind of the fad at the time, and now it's kind of gone out of the fad.
You spent some time overseas for that production, did you not?
Correct, yeah. So I actually, just to preface, I was an intern at Millennium Films.
Yep.
Through the MPI.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 3 months, I want to say. It was the summer. And at the end of that internship, I knew they were making the Hellboy reboot. And I said, hey, good luck with that. I'm a huge Hellboy fan. Don't screw it up. And they said, oh, do you want to work on it? And I said, yes, I would. That would be a dream come true. And they said, we're shooting it in Bulgaria. Do you have a passport? And I said, yes, I do. And 2 days later, I was in Bulgaria. And I stayed there 3.5 months shooting behind the scenes. And it was an incredible experience because I had never been on a real film set before.
You probably had never been to Sofia before either.
Never.
Right?
I had been to Europe once. I had been to the UK. And so it was just the experience of a lifetime. And they gave me a red Scarlet, which at the time was the best camera I'd ever held. Probably still is to this day. I mean, a super fancy camera.
And they cut you loose.
And they just said, shoot good stuff, and we'll see. We'll see at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I came back. I offloaded my footage, and we had a few days where we did interviews with the cast, and that was all really set up. But everything else was kind of run and gun. Like, here's where the location is. Show up there.
What a way to start your career, man.
Yeah, it really was incredible.
That's like, you can only go up from there.
And that movie's not like the biggest movie of all time, but the money they spent on it and the production value was high end. It was,
it's a legit franchise.
You had, Oscar nominated makeup team working on the makeup. You had very high end VFX, in Bulgaria. It was the lead VFX studio in Europe. They're called, I can't remember, Worldwide VFX is the name of it. And I got to stick my nose in all of it with a camera.
And what a way to learn, man. Just jump right in the mix. Awesome, incredible, extraordinary opportunity.
Yeah.
And MPI has a part of that story, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't have gotten it if MPI hadn't have set me up with the internship.
Yeah.
Everybody at Millennium had not been so gracious and
that's amazing.
Helpful,
but folks, it gets better because this is not even the real reason why you're most exciting to me and my audience, because that's cool. Maybe I have some Hellboy fans out there, but your life goes in extraordinary directions, and this is what I cannot stop talking about is the 5-year journey you've been on with this upstart P.T. Barnum meets Walt Disney meets who's a WWF creator?
Vince McMahon. That's
those types of
I'm glad you thought of that, because that is one of the guys he talks about. Like, this is the model,
the showmanship, right?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't mean to that's a little preview. If you don't know who I'm talking about, it's related to a specific sport of baseball. Chris's claim to fame in my book is that he is deeply involved in the documentation of the Savannah Bananas. So tell us a little bit about the Savannah Bananas, and you have to eat your food while you're doing this too. We'll take turns.
So about, I guess it was 5 years ago now. Gosh. I found myself editing a mini series, a docuseries, 5 episodes. It was actually only a 4-episode order from ESPN Plus about the Savannah Bananas, it's called Bananaland.
Bananaland, look
check
it up.
out. It's
I'll drop
Plus.
It in the show notes.
Yeah.
Please check it out.
So about 5 years ago, they embarked on a 15-city world tour, is what they called it.
That's funny.
And it was all...
Everything is like clever and witty and funny.
It was all in the Southeast.
Yeah.
But it was technically called a world tour.
Amen.
And they went to 15 different cities, large baseball market cities, places that liked their baseball.
Wow. And it's not just any type of baseball. It's
no.
banana ball, baby.
That's the asterisk, yes. So they weren't just playing baseball. They were playing banana ball, which is their own version of baseball that the creator of the team, his name is Jesse. Jesse came up with this... a version of baseball that's more fan-focused. The idea was he wanted it to eliminate everything about baseball that the fans hated, so that you could just have the things the fans loved. So,
I just want the Pittsburgh Pirates to get opportunity to play because they might actually do well in that league.
So maybe one day we'll see.
Well, they're not going to compete in the current model of MLB, which is sad and just kind of like you said, dying on the vine. It's like the economic model. It doesn't work well for the fans. It works well for some of the teams. Ironically, it works well for the owners.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Pirates don't invest any money in their team. The guy makes tens of millions of dollars through revenue sharing every year. And he doesn't have to put a competitive product on the field. It's very discouraging.
I would say, all but a handful of MLB teams have a problem with selling tickets. People just don't want to watch the games live.
They're expensive, and then the food, concessions, everying is just out of control. So Jesse, kind of a baseball prodigy who gets injured in college before going pro, and he's passionate. He knows the sport, how he just gives it a shot. I love this as the American dream. Hey, I'm going to mortgage my house. I'm going to put a second mortgage on my house. I'm going to go buy a minor league baseball team.
Correct. And
try something radically different.
Yeah.
Sink or swim,
When everyone told him, don't do this.
This is my favorite part of almost every story like this. Yeah. That it's you against the world, Exactly.
And that's exactly how it was. And so we followed them around for this 15-game tour of them playing their own version of baseball, banana ball. And it was wildly successful. They sold out all their games, which they were worried they wouldn't at first, but they ended up doing it, and that's part of the rags to riches story. They were able to overcome that. And then, I don't know if I've told you this, but the final game of the season, they played the Kansas City Monarchs.
Whoa.
They played 2 games against them.
A legitimate team.
This is a spoiler, but the final episode of the series is about this game against the Kansas City Monarchs.
Okay, if you don't want to know that spoiler, just turn it off. Go fast forward about a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So the Monarchs are a legitimate team.
Yeah.
Storied team, historic, part of the Negro League originally. Yeah. A lot of big names actually came up through the Monarchs. But now they're a AAA team, but they're the best in the country, or at least they were this year. They had just won the title.
Do they have an affiliation with any professional team?
Yes, the Cardinals, I believe.
Wow.
Maybe it's the Royals.
So you have
Don't quote
this
me.
is like legit
Don't
talent.
quote me on that. But these guys are either former pros who got moved down and are trying to work their way back up, or
prospects,
guys that
yeah.
are prospect. They're legit.
Yeah.
The Bananas play them in their own game, Banana Ball, which is a little different. And the Monarchs win the first night, and the Bananas, it's like, okay, well, this is a great team. But the second night, the Bananas, who are all guys who wanted to play pro, but for whatever reason, their career got stalled short.
Right.
And now they have to play on this quote-unquote joke of a team.
Right.
You know, the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
Right.
And they win the game.
Amazing.
And the guys are out in the parking lot afterward crying. We've got interviews with them, like saying, this is my dream. I wanted to play in front of a sold-out crowd, and now I'm doing it. And that was the end of that season that we did with ESPN Plus. And since then, it's only gotten bigger.
Yeah.
They're now playing 80 games a year all over the country. It's a true world tour now. Well, they haven't played internationally yet, but it'll happen.
Canada, that'll be on the horizon,
And,
I'm sure.
You know, so the Japanese love it, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
When is it going to be in the Olympics? I mean, hell, breakdancing is in the Olympics, right? Why can't-
So that's about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
the MLB commissioner sent out an email saying, like, if the Banana... This is paraphrasing.
Yes.
But he said, if the Bananas are doing it, he sent this to every MLB owner. If the Bananas are doing it, and it's allowed with our current rules, you should be doing it.
It's almost like they view them in some ways as competition, friendly competition.
Yeah.
It's not a complementary good. It's a different experience, but it might be a superior experience for most audiences. I mean, I don't know. I like baseball. When I go to a baseball game, I'm not paying attention to the game. I'm just talking to people. I don't know. It's just a different vibe. I've never been to the Bananas, but I've heard great things.
They really keep you engaged.
Yeah.
And it's never boring. And the games are only 2 hours long. A lot of times they're shorter.
So what's it like, just because I want to talk about the film aspect of this.
Yeah.
You're just like camera dude running around chasing them down. Do you have tell me a little bit about that process, because it seems like that'd be very chaotic.
So the first season, I just edited. I was not the boots on the ground.
Got you.
We did have a few guys from ESPN, and then my boss and his business partner.
Got you.
We're on the ground shooting.
Editing is putting the whole story together.
And
though.
then-
That's like where the story comes
Then I
together.
came in at the end and edited. For the second season, which you can watch on
Real
YouTube.
quick. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah.
Is that an easy edit? Is it like a pretty easy thing, or did you have to pull it together and like make some really critical decisions?
It was a lot of cutting.
You probably had a lot of footage,
There was
right?
tons of footage, way too much footage.
Yeah, that always happens at
And
times.
it's like, what's the important story here?
You were were you pretty instrumental in that? Like you had like this is a storyline.
I was the fifth episode,
You were involved,
the one
yeah.
about the Monarchs. That was the most creatively involved.
Nice,
I was.
okay.
And the reason, so if you remember earlier, I said they ordered 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
That's why I had a lot of creative involvement with the fifth, because the fifth one, ESPN didn't want originally. But my bosses
Let's go. Like,
were like, we've got this. They play Kansas City, and
They
beat
will
them.
want
like
to,
this
you know,
is like. So we kind of told ESPN, like, let us make this. We'll make this kind of for free
yep.
if you guys will just put it up with the rest of the series. And
It
the
really-
ESPN
yeah.
agreed. So that one we had more creative control over. We didn't have as many notes from ESPN, and we got to tell the finale the way we wanted to. Really.
I have kind of a technical question about working with an outfit like ESPN. Now, you may not know these answers, and that's fine. You also don't have to disclose anything if you don't want to. But are you able to see any data and feedback on the performance of any of those individual episodes, or not really?
Not really.
That's unfortunate, because you could like to know like which one really hit. You know,
So they have told us it's their third most successful ESPN Plus show.
Well, that's exciting.
Which is great news. And if they're telling us that, it definitely means it's not worse than that, you know?
Yeah.
So, I can't remember the other 2 shows that were ahead of it, and it's just ESPN Plus. It's not, you know.
Listen, don't ever
not
say
Netflix,
that. Don't ever say that. Don't ever apologize or discount what you did. That is an extraordinary accomplishment, my friend. I'm very excited. And there's a bright future for that for that team. And I just have a feeling that your work is not done in that regard. So stay tuned. But now we're here in Park City. So this is a little bit of background on Chris. I just wanted people to know I'm sitting down with a really extraordinary, talented guy, a lot of experience. And, we're both fellows. There's a couple others I'll maybe interviewing over the course of the week. You're the first out of the gate. So how'd you hear about MPI? Do you remember when you first were introduced to them?
Weirdly enough, my girlfriend, who's now my wife,
Yay!
we were graduating college at the same time and both wanted to work in the film industry. And so we were like, how do we do this? Like, we don't know anybody. And she found them on Google. And
Wow,
told me,
dude. Search engine optimization in effect.
She was like, you need to apply to these people. And she applied too, and they didn't accept her.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We can fix that, right? Come
but
on.
yeah, I owe all the credit to her. She was like, this sounds like it's right up your alley. This is all the stuff you ramble about, freedom in film, like
right.
presenting a message of, liberation to the world.
Liberation. Yeah. Yes, like that's not enough.
And she was right. I mean, it was spot on the money. It fit with my personality, my goals, and my dreams. And I applied, and I got in. I got an internship, actually with
Millennium.
No. So I did 2 internships.
That's right.
First one was with Rumor Inc., which is the company that I'm making Bananaland.
That's very cool.
Right. And then, and they're based out of New York.
Yep.
And so I did that with them. I actually stayed with them for a year before I was like,
Wow.
I want to go work in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so I left them, which I don't regret, but I did after a few years call them back and say, hey guys, I really miss working with you. Are you doing anything cool? And luckily they said, yes, we're doing this Bananas.
Dude, never burn bridges in any industry. Yeah. Definitely the creative industry. Paths are gonna cross again. So it sounds like you've done that and handled it really well. That's very exciting. Okay, so you've been here involved with MPI for a few years now, easily, many years, probably since you've been working. Yeah, probably like.
So that was 2016.
Wow,
so
amazing.
What is it?
Almost 10 years, man.
9 years now.
9 years.
Yeah.
So you're here now, and what are we gonna do? So today we went to the Wind Rider Festival. We're trying to figure out the specific relationship between Wind Rider and Sundance. They are connected to an extent because they both occur in Park City, Utah around the same time, and they reference each other. At least Wind Park references Sundance. So we've seen a couple films there today. We're going to go there tomorrow, celebrate an MPI production that's getting an award from
Wind Rider.
Yeah. Why can't I remember that? Thank you for coming in to help clarify. I called it Wind Dance earlier, which was embarrassing. It's a great program and very impressive audience and everything. But, we're going to be seeing some movies this week. We'll try to land this on what you're most excited about with the remainder of the festival.
So I have a ticket for the episodic pilot showcase.
There are 3, basically, really good shows. One is a documentary. One is a drama, one's a comedy, maybe. Is that right? I think that was a breakdown.
Yeah. And
these are going to be probably seen on some outlet at some point. Let's be honest. If you're here...
Well, maybe.
Or not.
That's why I'm excited about it.
You don't think they will, maybe.
So,
you don't know. Go ahead.
So I've been to Sundance once before, just as a fan.
Yes.
Just came to watch movies. And I did it back then. I did the episodic pilot showcase.
Okay.
And all 3 were really great, I thought. But all 3, you can't see them anywhere else. They've never been picked up.
That's surprising.
And so the movies I saw were all really cool. But they're things you could have seen in theaters 6 months down the line or on streaming. But the episodic pilot showcase, I saw this one episode of a TV show. It's called When the Streetlights Go Off.
When the streetlights go off.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
is it like a Purge type?
It's like a murder mystery, 1980s set. It was a blacklist script for a long time. It was supposed to be a feature film.
Ooh.
They couldn't get the feature done. They got a pilot done.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was so... I was like, this is one of the best pilot episodes, or best episodes of a TV show I've ever seen. I would watch every episode of this. And yeah, it never got picked... So, it did get picked up eventually by Quibi.
Oh, man.
But they reshot it, rewrote it. It was a totally different thing by the time it got to Quibi. But the version I saw at Sundance was like one of the most impactful things. The cinematography really reached me. Like, I've recreated some of the shots, and I can only remember in my head because you can't see it.
You can't find this.
Yeah.
You could not track it down. I bet we could track it down. This might be something we have to kind of figure out.
There's a trailer out there of the version I'm talking about. It's not the Quibi. You'll probably find the Quibi one now.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was awesome. And so that's why I'm so excited about it this time around, because I'm like, what am I going to see that nobody else will ever be able to see? I don't know.
I just think the bar is very high for you.
Yeah.
Clearly, if you're saying you replicated some shots from this pilot, it clearly had an impact on you.
Yeah.
just I hope that this experience matches or exceeds your previous screening of the pilot episodes.
Yeah, I hope they don't suck because I have no idea what they're going to be.
They sound interesting by the description, so we'll stay tuned. Maybe we'll do a recap of that. Depends on how much time we have. But that's good. I'm looking forward to that. Any features that you're particularly curious about? I've explained to the audience that it was a very hectic process.
I know. Yeah. I just kind of took what I could get.
Chris and I, as I referenced yesterday when I was explaining how we got here and what's going on so far, we were on a Zoom call with two other fellows, and we kind of just tried to grab whatever we could get. And we at one point had like 10 tickets or 7 tickets to something. It was a very wild experience. But anyway, we have the tickets now. We just don't know who's going to what. So
sorry. Well, I don't have a ticket to it, but I've told you if I can get a ticket to Obex.
I mentioned that earlier, folks. It looks really good. That's by my my neighbor up there in Baltimore.
There's another one called By Design, which sounds so bizarre, but it's so bizarre I kind of want to know.
Juliette Lewis, I think, is the star. Something about a woman who turns into a chair and likes her life better as a chair. Or people like her better as a chair? I think people
like her better. That's the description. But that's it. People like her better as a chair.
Yeah, okay. How's that going to...
sounds crazy.
For 90 minutes? I'm curious how they're going to carry that.
I wish I could have seen Bubble and Squeak.
Yeah, everyone wants to see that, man.
That's kind of the hot ticket. And we had tickets, but I went to the Wind Rider thing instead. I felt like that was more important for my own personal
Chris,
reason for being
we're here to support MPI. We're beneficiaries of MPI. We got to go out there and support the work that they're involved in. And they have a close partnership with them. So,
and I will say, what I saw at Wind Rider
was impressive.
It moved me.
The documentary, in particular, cinematography. I'm going to be doing a little recap of my own impressions of these films in a separate episode. You'll definitely hear about this movie about a T-shirt company. What's this called again?
Tiger.
It's
That's
excellent.
a Tiger T-shirt company.
Yeah, you're going to love it, folks. So stay tuned for that. I'm trying to think. Anything else we should cover here? I don't know, man. I think I'm pretty optimistic. What about next steps?
Well, we had
the
luncheon.
Oh, luncheon today was a lot of fun. A whiskey tasting and luncheon.
We met Melanie Armstrong. Very cool person.
Right across from us, the hero of occupational licensing reform in America. It's taken the country by storm since the kind of early to mid 2000s. Really removing barriers that prevent people who have gifts and talents that want to contribute, that want to be entrepreneurs, create value for society, help their fellow man. In this case, braiding the hair, which is it's a real talent and skill and craft. And she was great at it. People wanted her to do it, and they were paying her. It's like, hey, what's the that's mutual benefit to the max. What's the problem? Well, the barber board, cosmetology board, we're throwing up some obstacles and barriers like X thousand hours of license training and such, which imposes costs on people. Those are real costs for people. In this case, you're trying to make the world better, trying to make your community better. So she's been involved in a lot of efforts to overturn those laws state to state. It's a very state-specific thing. I don't want to make this a policy conversation, but I just know a little bit more about that than the average bear, given some of my work over the years. So yeah, meeting her was cool. Yeah. Her husband is a pretty cool guy too.
Yeah, he was chatty. Very nice.
Great dude.
He seemed to be able to find a conversation in anything.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It was fun to talk to.
So that was fun. We're, I think, just really enjoying ourselves. And this is kind of a plug again. All of this week's episodes of Raff's Brain are, shot or recorded here in Park City, Utah. And we're only here because of MPI. So a big hat tip, shout out to the Moving Picture Institute. Check them out at thempi.org. You can learn more about them, get involved in the programming, support their work if that's your sort of thing too. Please, they welcome that. It's a nonprofit entity, so keep that in mind as well. We're going to have a great time as we wrap up this episode. I think we're getting kicked out of Whole Foods. Things close down early. It's
almost 8 o'clock.
Okay, 8 o'clock is closing time here in Park City. So thanks again for joining me, Chris. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you being my first interview out of the gate. You have to tell your other fellows, yeah, it's easy, get on Raff's show. It's fun.
I hope somebody gets something out of this.
That's right. And I'm going to put your, if you have a website or something, we'll throw it in there. Make sure people can see where you, or do you have any type
Maybe my YouTube channel.
Yeah, there we go.
It doesn't have anything crazy. It's got my reel and some of my short films.
I'll drop that in the show notes. Please check it out. Like, follow, become a fan of this prodigy.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks, Chris. Talk to you later, everybody. See you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Okay, that was
Yeah, you got to.